Well, here we are. It is Wednesday, let's see, December 11th, 2024. And as I said in the last couple of weeks, there's not a lot of sales going on right now. Things are sort of quieting down toward the end of the year. There's a few sales still running here and there, and there's some good things in them. But I want to talk about a couple of sales in particular, things that popped up, sort of interesting end of the year things that you might find if you're a collector, especially if you like scholars objects or unusual pieces. There's a couple of sales coming up that you might want to focus on because right now is a good time of the year to buy things. Heading into the year, a lot of people's attention is diverted elsewhere, and you never know when opportunities might pop up. We've seen some pretty good buys in the last couple of weeks, and there's a sale going on coming up in about 8 days from now, 9 days from now at Bonham's in Hong Kong I want to talk about because there's a load of scholars objects in there, and they come from an interesting collection, and they're unreserved. Okay, unreserved. There's no reserve on these, and these are the pieces. This was an Arts of Asia heading. It's on their website right now. The Brumberg collection. He is a contributing editor at Arts of Asia magazine, and he collects, not surprisingly. And there's some nice pieces in here. We're going to talk about this brush pot and some other things. They're all very reasonably priced. Like there's no estimate. There's no reserve on them. They have estimates, but no reserves. So I want to run through these because some pretty good things. And there's also some very good snuff bottles in this collection. And not his collection, but in this auction. One of the things is the auction is listed as a snuff bottle collection because that's the dominant portion of the sale. But there's a lot of other stuff in there that you might want to check out if you're shopping around. The sale closes on December 20th. There it is, about 9 days from now. And these are some of the lots. This is lot 1167. Very unusual, really, really unusual. 18th or early 19th century. Calling it 19th century, I think, is a bit of a reach, but they may be doing that just to be, protect themselves a little bit. To me, it looks pretty clearly like an 18th century cup. And it's made of stone. This is a stone carving. It's not wood. It's not bamboo. It's not some type of horn. It's stone. Very unusual form to be in stone. You only typically see these in wood. And this one is a very, very nice one. Beautifully carved pine trees. You have this little scholar studio down here at the edge on sort of on an ellipse at the bottom. And then you have this very typical carving. And it's carved like a rhinoceros horn. That's the idea. Stylistically, it's very much like a rhino horn. Really interesting piece of work. Very, very nicely done. And to me, it looks every bit to be 18th century. All the way down. Wonderfully done, wonderful surface, nice old patina on it, and it may have been lacquered at some point, may have had a clear lacquer put on it by the time it was made to protect it, to give it a little color. I'm not sure, but boy, what an awfully nice bit of carving. And the estimate on it, I think, is very reasonable. It's estimated at 20 to 30,000 Hong Kong, which is around $2,500 to $3,500 US. I think it should easily get there, and it has no reserve. And the starting price is starting bid is 3,000 Hong Kong, which is about $700 or $800. So the starting price is extremely reasonable for this. Not a bad thing at all. It's a nice thing. And a lot of you know I get attracted to things that are atypical more than the typical standard production pieces, and often with scholars objects, that's what you get. And then there's this metal and mounted wooden fly whisk, 18th or 19th century. Some very, very nice work here on the handle. Looks to be silver, and this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful bit of horsehairs running off of it like this. It's a nice whisk. It's a very nice whisk. The wood looks like Z-tan. Is it Z-tan, or they don't even say? It looks like Zetan wood, but they're not saying it is. But boy, it sure looks like it. It's they're dating it as, again, 18th or 19th century, and estimated very modestly at $1,300 to $1,900 US, with a starting price of about $600 or $700. Another good thing. If you like scholars objects, this is a heck of a sale. And then this is also pretty great. It's a carved Z10 form brush frost. There it is. Nice piece of wood, and this is typically you see these in metal forms, you see them in porcelain forms. You don't see them very often in wooden forms. This is what really caught my eye about this. You often see them. You've all seen all the ceramic examples of the mountains done as brush rests. They did them a lot during the Ming Dynasty. They did them in the Qing Dynasty and so forth. And this one is done in Zetan. and I think it's powerfully carved. It's wonderfully done, very good proportions. Estimated at 20 to 25,000 Hong Kong, or $2,600 to $3,200 US. To me, again, this looks like an 18th century example more than a 19th. And it should get up there. This should bring, I would think this would bring $4,000 or $5,000 for a piece of Zeton from of this age. Just an excellent example. Beautifully done. And then this, the armrest, is an inscribed bamboo wrist rest, estimated again at what is the estimate? $3,900 to $5,100 with a $700 opening bid. You don't see these very often. The color of the wood is very nice, warm, deep, rich color. Beautiful. The script on it is beautifully incised and carved and finished, and the wood selection is excellent. These are nice straight grains running down it. It's very elegant. It's a beautifully elegant thing. Again, modest estimate, modest starting price, and again, no reserves to fight. And then again, you have this, a beautiful large burl wood brush washer. It measures over 8 inches, 8.5 inches wide. This is a big brush washer. It's a honker. There it is. And they're not identifying the wood because it looks like it came out of the knot of a tree, and they can be kind of tricky to do. It looks like a piece of, it almost looks like it's made from burl in here, but very neatly finished, nicely done, good color, no dry spots anywhere on it. They're calling it burlwood. I didn't even notice that. Okay, it looks like burlwood. And again, estimated modestly at $2,600 to $3,200 with a 3,000 Hong Kong opening price. So that's around, what's that work out to? About $750 or something. It's a very small amount of money for a brush washer that size. And then you have another bamboo brush and bone carving with a Ruyi brush rest. There it is. Nice looking set. Love the brush. Love the brush. I love the bamboo turnings on the handle. Absolutely wonderful. This brush looks like it got used a good bit too. And it's 2,600 to 3,200 Hong Kong, or around what's the opening price on this? Also, I think they all start at about 3,000 Hong Kong, which is about $750 or so. $700, reasonable purchase. Qing Dynasty. The brush looks like it's probably an 18th century one. The rest may be 19th century. It's hard to tell by that because it doesn't have a lot of color or signs of age to it. But both of them are very, very nice. But I like the brush. Buy it for the brush. And then there's the brush pot. This has a silver inlaid brush pot. It's wood, but it's carved like bamboo, like a section of bamboo, obviously. And there's a script in it. It does look like to be in good condition. Nice color. The color of this is very important. The color of these brush pots are very, very important. This is a nice, warm, rich, brownish red color. All the inlay. I'm checking the inlay to make sure it's all intact, because often you'll have these inlaid pieces and whole chunks of the wire will have been ripped out from somebody polishing it or cleaning it with a piece of cloth that might hook on a sharp edge of the metal, and it pulls it out. That's why I tell people when they're oiling a piece of furniture or anything, always use paper towels or tissues. The reason is that if they hook on a piece of wire, a piece of inlay, or an edge, it won't damage the piece. It'll just tear the paper towel or the tissue paper that you're using. And this is a very nice one. And the script all looks to be intact. And if you're a brush pot buyer, this is a nice brush pot. And it's estimated at $3,900 to $6,400, which sounds just about exactly right. I would think on the upper end of that. Anyway, and it's the starting price again, $750, and no reserves. Keep that in mind. No reserve. You don't see reserve sales very often. I'm hoping to see more in the coming year as prices seem to be stabilizing a bit, and there isn't so much aggression to buy everything in the market. People that are going to want to sell things are going to be asked to you may have bought it in 2011 at the very, very top, those heady days at the top of the market. You're probably not going to get that kind of price again. All right, and that's just the reality of it. The market, as everyone knows, got severely overheated between 2007, 2008, and 2013 and 14. It was crazy. It was crazy. People were literally buying pieces at auctions in the summer of one year and selling them in the spring of the next year for a 50% profit. Those days are done. And I think it was very unhealthy. I don't think it was a good thing for the market at all. I think it was fun. It was amusing to watch, but I think it was very unhealthy. A good art market should be stable, the prices should be steady, and should be shoring up with lots of collectors ready to pay the sort of the going rates. but having basically inexperienced bidders throwing any amount of money they could at an object to acquire it, as we saw back in the 2010 era. Those days are done. Those days are done. Too many people overspent. Too many people spent foolishly, and I think a lot of them have learned their lessons. And now some of them are sitting on these pieces, and they'd probably like to sell them, but it's going to be tough to sell them for what they paid. But these are nice things. These are reasonably estimated, $2,600 to $3,200 US for this very nice Duan stone in box with cover, late Qing to Republic period. It looks to me to be the carving on the stone, on the Duan stone, the way it's done, looks to me to be more likely 19th century than Republic. And the box is very nicely figured. Beautiful figuring on this box. I think the box is worth almost the estimate. Forgetting the stone and this very nice scroll weight on the side, it's a good example. And the boxwood scroll weight is meticulously carved. Meticulously carved. Now that could be a Republic era thing, if it possibly, not absolutely, but the carving and finish on it is very, very nice. And you do see some awfully nice boxwood examples from the late Qing and early Republic period. All right. You also see a lot of good boxwood in the 18th century, too. Some very nice ones. I think there's a sale. I think this sale, is it this sale that has it? There's another sale out there right now that has a very nice little boxwood box on it. Anyway, this is 7 inches. Let's see. The inkstone is 7.5 inches long. It's in wonderful condition. And again, unreserved. With an opening bid of $750 and an estimate of $2,600 to $3,200, which seems very reasonable. I would think the boxwood arm scroll weight would be worth about $1,200 on its own, forgetting altogether this very, very, very pretty box with beautiful color. And then there's a circular box, carved circular box, and a bamboo brush pot. Here we go, and you can see this one has some ink on the outside that dripped on it, which I think is wonderful. It shows the thing got used, was used in the culture. Nice looking carving, well finished, good straight grain to the bamboo. Notice how straight the grain is, sort of like that armrest we looked at a little while ago. And nice, this is one of those shallow, low relief carved pots. And it comes with this circular box, which I think is an elegant little box. It almost looks like an American sailor's ditty box. But boxes are ubiquitous. They're around the world. Everybody had them for different purposes. But this is a very, very... I love the brush pot. The brush pot's really, really nice. And estimated at $2,600 to $3,200. And again, a $750 opening bid on both of them. Very reasonable. I would think the brush pot is probably worth around $3,000 to $4,000 all by itself, excluding the little box. It's a nice looking lot. Nice looking lot. And then over here to this very nice, this is a neat, it's got auspicious symbols all of the 8 Buddhist emblems. And it's a nice little box. It's a delicate little box and very, very beautifully carved. It looks to be a little bit dirty in some of the cracks. I see some little bits of dirt. You might want to take a very soft bristle toothbrush to it and give it a little light going over. Don't use any solvents on it, of course, or anything like that. But very nice color. Well polished. Notice the high points are nicely polished on this, and there are all the Buddhist, the Buddhist wheel with the flames, and the twin fish, and the lotus blossom, and the chimes, and the vases, and all this other stuff. It's a nice box, and it's a fairly small one. These are not big. These are little personal boxes for the table, for the scholar's table. 2 5/8 inches, 2.5 inches wide, 2.5 inches, in both directions. It's a square box, beautifully done, and the exterior of it. Has the Buddha swastika on it all the way around. It's a nice box. Again, starting bid $750 or so. And then over here to this, a very attractive silver snuff box, and a very good little snuff box, round snuff box with its cover. And the box, it looks a lot like a game holder, for the Go game, but this is much smaller, but it's the same general idea. But a nice looking piece of silver. This is a beautiful little silver box. Wonderfully done. Figure a landscape scene and all that. And then you have this very, very attractive lacquered snuff box meant to sit on a table. The silver box measures 2.5 inches wide, and the snuff box with the lacquer cover measures 3 3/4 inches. So these are small table objects. Again, $700 opening bid, $2,600 to $3,200 estimate. And most of the estimates are sort of $26 to $32. I think this is a particularly nice lot. It's very, very elegant, very, very attractive. And then there's a Buddhist lion scroll weight. I know a lot of you like these. A lot of people buy them and collect them because there were so many different varieties. This is a very good one. It's got a nice patina on it. It's 2 1/8 inches long, and it's estimated at, again, 26 to 30, 3,800 or something. But this is the bronze. Great facial expression. He's almost smiling. He's got very happy little eyes on him. I love the tail. I like the way the body's done. The surface looks good. It's undisturbed, which is crucial with these old bronzes. Very, very attractive. $750 opening bid on that. And these are all unreserved. It's pretty great. You don't see this very often. And then there's this, the cloisonné enamel ingot-shaped box. We've seen these ingot forms in ceramics and other things. Occasionally they're done in cloisonné. It has a Qianlong mark on the bottom, but they feel it's more likely to be a 19th century example, which is probably the case. There were a lot of copies of these made in the 19th century. There's the bottom of it. They were sort of a revival of these, and the tone of that yellow and so forth make me think it's, and the rose make me think it's probably more likely a mid or early 19th century box, but nicely done, very, very nicely done, and in a rare form. And again, $1,900 to $2,600 estimate, $700 starting price. And then moving along, I think this is one of the last of this. There's a couple of snuff bottles I'm going to look at here, but this is very nice. They're calling it turquoise, and it looks more like a soft lime green to me. You may want to get some clarification on that, because that doesn't look like turquoise to me at all. It looks like a soft light green, soft lime green. There's no blue to that at all. It's purely greens. This is a nice, and this is one of these biscuitware examples. And carved biscuitwares were a sort of an interesting group of porcelains that were produced mostly during the 19th and late 19th century, early Republic period. They did some awfully fine work on biscuit. Carving out biscuitwares, and this is a nice example, but with a very unusual color. Love the boat scene at the bottom. The boatman with the large waves scooping up around the bow and lapping along the sides of the boat, and he's going past this mountain area that looks an awful lot like that brush rest we just looked at that was carved out of wood. Same sort of scene, very, very ubiquitous scene in Chinese art. And then over here you have larger trees coming in and so forth, and the rotates around, and there's a gentleman here with some baskets coming along the shore from his day's work. It's a nice thing. These biscuitwares are great. And I think biscuitwares in general are way undervalued in the market. I don't know why. And I think at some point they're going to catch on the way so many things do. You know, we've all seen in the Chinese art market how one area gets a lot of attention, the prices rise up, and suddenly attention shifts over here, and prices come up, and then so it sort of moves around. And biscuitwares haven't had their day in the sun yet, but I think they're going to. Because they're awfully interesting, and there are people who have been collecting them for a very long time, and I think there's some awfully good collections out there waiting to be seen. But for right now, the prices still are more favorable toward the buyer. And this is a nice pot. It should bring the estimate. The estimate is $1,900 to $2,600. I expect it'll get there. It's certainly worth the opening bid, and again, unreserved. And then over here, there's some other stuff coming up. There's this very nice carved wood Mitahaba alms bowl. And this is not a huge bowl. It's about 6.5 inches wide, but it's beautifully colored, nicely carved, good proportions, with seated immortals all the way around it, with characters in between. Late Ming Dynasty. Wan Li character mark, Ming Dynasty. Okay, there you go. It looks like a late Ming thing to me, and with a Ming mark. All right. The estimate is $1,900 to $3,200. Ought to get there all day long. This is from a different collection than the previous one, but very, very nice looking thing. The starting bid on it is around $1,800, which I think is pretty reasonable. And then this is one of, I think this, as far as porcelains go, I think this is one of the nicest porcelains in the sale. It's a very unusual Sung Dynasty celadon glazed ewer. And you don't see these ewers very often. You see lots of vases, you see lots of bowls and plates, of course, fish plates and all those other things. This is a ewer, and it's not a form you see very often. It's 5 3/4 inches tall, and I think the estimate's the estimate isn't cheap. It's somewhere in the roughly $7,500 to $10,000 range, but I don't think that's a crazy estimate for this. This has a very nice color. the color to this is quite pleasing. And I love the turning band around the neck. The handle and the spout are beautifully proportioned to the body. Everything works here. The potting is nice. The base has a good stout, strong look to it. And you'll notice that the Celadon line ends very, very neatly at the foot. So I imagine underneath this thing is very, very clean to look at. They didn't provide a picture of the bottom of it, unfortunately, but I think it looks to be an awfully nice example and absolutely authentic. And I think the estimate's more than reasonable. And I know a number of you that watch these are interested in sungwares. Here's something, hint, hint, take a look at this. This is nice. And as I said before, if you like scholar stuff, take a look at this stuff. It's a good little auction. This is happening over in Hong Kong. And it's not getting a lot of attention for some reason. And then there's this, a Yixing glazed 8 trigram tripod incense burner, also Song Dynasty, estimated at $80,000 to $120,000, or roughly $10,000 to $14,000. But it's Qingbai with trigrams on it. And we've all seen these in Celadons. You've seen this general saying this circular canister form of the Ruyi head feet in all kinds of different glazes and types over the years. But this one is particularly nice with the Qingbai glaze in the trigrams going around it, like you see on Kong vases. Very attractive, estimated at $10,000 to $15,000 US dollars. See how it goes. The opening bid is $10,000 on it for some reason. I think that's being a little aggressive, but it is worth it. It is worth it. But from an auctioneer's standpoint, they would have been wiser to probably start the bidding at this at $3,000 or $4,000 and let it find its own level. But this may be coming out of a collection where somebody paid a lot for it and they're nervous about the market. And you're going to see a lot more of that until people just deal with reality. But that doesn't diminish one bit from this piece. This is a very, very nice piece of Yixing ware, and I think it's worth taking a shot at if you're a Sung buyer. And then there's also some very good snuff bottles. The core of this auction is actually the Richard and Jennifer Law collection of snuff bottles. They were very active snuff bottle collectors for a long time, and they have some really nice bottles in this sale. I picked out a few. I like the carved stone ones in particular. This one is a very nice carved agate example, superbly carved. Notice how the carver took advantage of the darker inclusions to make these pine trees and illustrate the gentleman at the bottom, and then all the background and everything. It's just so skillful, the carver on this bottle. So very skillful. And the estimate on it, I think, is extremely reasonable. $2,100 to $2,800. I wouldn't be surprised if this brought $4,000 or $5,000. It's a beautiful example, and it has a tourmaline stopper. And then there's another carving over here. The boys, again, the carver took on agate took wonderful care to take advantage of the dark inclusions, so that the two boys, one of them is carrying a lotus, and the other one is carrying a pod, and then you have auspicious bats coming in from the sides. But if you look at it, it almost looks like the boys and the bat was done as an overlay, the way or was added later, or added after it was done, like there were appliques that were put on. They weren't. This is what was in the stone, and somehow the carver had enough eye, enough skill to spot those inclusions and figure out where he could carve. There's the back of it. It's fairly plain. The stopper is just a regular stopper. Nobody cares about the stopper. It's got a nice little piece of jadeite on it, I guess, but you're buying this bottle with this exceptional artwork. Truly exceptional. And this one is estimated at $3,900 to $6,400. I think that's a very reasonable estimate for that. That's a little masterpiece. And it looks to be, they're dating it again cautiously, 18th/19th century. It looks like an 18th century, late 18th century bottle to me. The quality of the carving is so good. I think it's worth looking at. And then there's a couple of other things. There's a sale coming up at Adams's in Ireland. And do check this out. Do check this sale out. It's coming up in 6 days. Closes on the 18th, a week from today, Wednesday. And this just looks like a regular standard, China trade plate, right? Or a pair of plates. And it says very large. And if you check it out and see how big these are. They're both repaired. They both have staple repairs, which I think are kind of cool. They're nice staples on the back. There we are. They both have staples like this on them. But the point of these is that they are enormous. If you like enormous platters and so forth, you want to look into this. These are 21 inches in diameter. Let me see. Where are the dimensions? View more. There it is. 55.4 centimeters in diameter. That works out to about 21 and a half inches each. 21 and a half inch Chinese chargers. You do not see them. You see them from Japanese Meiji period all the time. That's normal for them. But the Chinese made very few chargers even over 18 or 17 or 16 inches. And here there are a pair of them. It was kind of dumb of them not to illustrate the pair together side by side for how this listing is visually. I would have shown them both side by side with a big ruler under it, giving some idea, or put 21 on the picture. These are massive plates, and there's no reserve on them. The starting price is just 40 pounds, or 40 euros rather, and they are only estimated at $400 to $600. But they're 21 inches in diameter. These things are massive, and as I've said many times about chargers, there's a sort of a ratio that goes around. Like for every 100 9, 10, 11 inch plates you see from the 18th century, you might find one charger out of 100, one out of 50 maybe. That's it. And those are 15-inch chargers. When you get into chargers that are over 20 inches, those are extremely unusual. And you might find one 20-inch charger out of a group of 500 plates, maybe one. I can't think of the last time I saw a 21-inch China trade charger like this. I've seen them 18 inches in recent years and 17, but 21 inches, and then you have two of them. It's an opportunity. If you want something really great to make a room, buy these and ship them. My goodness, even if you have to pay $800 a piece for them, I think they're wonderful. I think they're great. Don't worry about the staples. Nobody cares about staple repairs, especially on something this interesting. I always say buy something interesting over something perfect. And these aren't perfect. No, they're not. But they're beautifully decorated and they're massive. And they've already got the plate. They're already ready to hang. So there you go. So they're hanging in somebody's house. These are very, very nice. And then over to this. This is coming up at Freeman's in a few days on the 18th. Next week is this nice Famille Rose charger. It's funny. They dated this as 19th century. I don't know who's. I don't think Richard Cervantes is helping them with their dating. This is clearly an 18th century dish. Clearly, probably Yongchen period. Beautifully done. Wonderful colors, in beautiful condition, and it's a charger. It's 15 inches and a quarter in diameter. It's located in their Palm Beach operation down in Florida. They're dating it as 19th century. This is absolutely not a 19th century plate. It is absolutely mid-1700s or earlier, and I think it's probably Yongchen. All right, that was a mistake on their part. All right, and then you have this is also in the same sale, I believe. This one's on the 17th. No, this one's on the 17th. They got a couple of sales coming up. If you've wanted one of these moon flasks, this is it. Nice pair of moon flasks. They're not enormous. They're only about 9 inches tall, so they're pretty perfect to put on a mantle. Nice turquoise ground. They look to be in good shape. Get a condition report on them. But again, these are always popular. People always love these. And this is coming up on the 17th with a $8 to $1,200 estimate. I think it's got to get through that. And I suspect they'll bring up around $2,000, but they're nice looking. Leave a bid on them. And then if you like Korean ceramics and sort of oddball, this is at Freeman's again on the 17th. This is one lot, and you have this nice sort of grayish blue inlaid Goyo period celadon, and then you have this celadon bowl here, which I got to see the back of it. There's another Goyo piece, and then there's this with this molded decoration. That looks very interesting to me. And I wish they'd showed a picture of the bottom. I want to see the back of this big bowl. But this is an interesting lot, and that looks like a Sung bowl to me. Sung or Yuan, Southern Sung or Yuan. So this is a pretty good lot. I would get ask them for some additional pictures if you're interested in these types of Celadon wares and Korean wares, because I think it smells like it might have a bargain in here. The largest bowl, by the way, these aren't little. The big bowl in there, the big green bowl on the left is 10 inches in diameter. So these are not 5 and 6 inch bowls. They sort of read that way from the pictures, but this bowl here is 10 inches. This green one. So I think there's some scale to this whole lot, and this looks like a Sung bowl to me. I'd want to check it out, but that's what it does look like. And then you have two Joseon period examples, and the estimate is only $800 to $1,200 with a $400 starting bid. I think it's something worth looking into. It's a pretty good looking sale. And this is Freeman Hindman's sale on the 17th. And then the last thing is this is Freeman Hindman. I bet this is another. It's just, yeah. I think whoever's in their Florida operation doesn't know how to date Chinese porcelain. They've got these dated as 19th to 20th century. From what I can see, again, they sure look 18th century to me. Those look like 18th century porcelains, and I think they're very, very pretty. How big are these anyway? 11 inches. Oh, they're good size. 11. I thought they were like maybe. This form was also done in little 5-inch saucers. I was wondering if they were tiny. These are pretty good size. They're over 10 inches, and beautifully done. And it's a pair, and they look like they're in good shape. They look like they're in good condition, and they have a very modest estimate of $500 to $700 with a $250 starting price. And it's only got 5 people watching it because they dated it as 19th to early 20th century. I would get a picture of the back of these, but I'm pretty certain these. I'm very certain these are 18th century dishes and not late 19th to early 20th century. And sometimes the best buys you get out there are things like this, of course, because they've misdated them. And misdating things can, of course, be a very good thing if you're a buyer. Unless they misdate them the wrong way, then somebody ends up getting stuck with something because they were overly optimistic on the age. But in this case, that doesn't seem to be the problem. So the problem goes the other way. And always look for pieces like this where they've misdated them. If you're able to date porcelains and objects by looking at them, because you often can get a great buy on your hands. If you're not looking at things that claim to be, Chinois chicken cups and things like that, those are all going to be fakes, of course, but or roux-ware in the market. You're not going to be able to buy any roux-ware floating around. But there are certain things that do get misdated or get mislabeled as Japanese when they're actually Chinese and Chinese when they're Japanese. And those can often result in great buys. So always look for those as well. All right. That's it. I just wanted to run through these. These are some interesting lots, some fun things to get into. You might want to buy yourself something for fun at the end of the year. And all of them are reasonably, well, other than the 2 massive charges. Those are going to be a bit of a work to ship. I think they're worth shipping, though, wherever you are. But the other pieces, the scholars' objects are all sort of small. Snuff bottles are fine to ship. Everything else is fairly modest shipping. And I have noticed with my own purchases lately that the shipping companies are sort of getting the memo here, and the auction houses are. And I bought some things I'm going to talk about at some point that the shipper that was recommended by the auction house sort of under their breath to me absolutely was the best one to go with. They know who the shippers are that are taking advantage of people, and they know who the shippers are who treat people very, very well. And I had a very good experience with a shipper that works with Drew Eats over in the UK. Terrific people, very on the ball, good with prices, very reasonable, flexible, all that stuff. And there's another one that I dealt with recently on the Decker sale that was a fabulous guy and very communicative. And so I think they're sort of getting the memo on the shipping. Even if they're not going to do their own, at least they're aligning themselves with shipping houses, shipping operations that aren't skinning people alive and charging them, $750 to ship a 9-inch dish from France to Boston, that kind of thing. Those days are over because nobody's using them. They're just dishonest. But always check shipping before you buy something if you can to get an estimate. I do it fairly regularly, and the shippers are more than happy to give you a quote. So, and tell them just use slow boat to China. Unless it's a gift for somebody and has to be there by your date certain. Otherwise, just pick the slowest possible method there is, and in general, the item will get to you maybe 4 days later than it would have if you'd paid 5 times as much. The extra money doesn't give you much better timing on the delivery. So just a little advice. All right, have a great day, and we'll be back Friday with the regular video. And thanks for watching. Go buy some stuff for yourself. All right, bye.